Example 4, I already written it out for you, but I'm just going to simply just highlight what I did and such. My vertex is 1 and 10. My max is going to be the vertex. Notice the graph is facing downward so that you'll have a max. So my direction of opening is down. My axis symmetry, x will equal the x value of the vertex. My y-intercept is going to be right there, where y will equals 1. My domain is going to be negative infinity to positive infinity, or all real numbers. And my range is going to be y is less than or equal to 10. Or it may be written as, I didn't write the other alternative, but it may be written as negative infinity to 10. On example 5, I color-coded each part. The vertex, I had it color-coded in red, so you notice a red dot. I typed it in red, where that's the vertex, -1 and -3. Also, I color-coded the axis symmetry being the x value of the vertex, x equals -1. Does this graph have a minimum or maximum? I originally wrote in max. I'm not sure why I wrote in max, but it's definitely a minimum for this graph. Because it has a low point. Doesn't have a high point, it goes forever upwards. So that's why there's a minimum, not a maximum. The y-intercept, I color code that in blue. Y equals -2. So where it hits the y-axis on the graph, it hits at y equals -2. Direction of this opening is up, and the domain is all real numbers. The range is y is greater than -1. Now, one part that we didn't talk about in the other examples is if fxy equals 0, -2, meaning if we look at the order pair 0, -2, is that a solution in the graph? Meaning, is it part of the graph? Is it? I'm going to put a pencil. Is that point out there? Is that point over there? Where is this part? Where is that part of the graph? Well, if I look where 0, -2 is on the graph, I notice that it's where that blue dot is. 0, -2 is that blue dot. Is that part of the graph? It is riding along the graph, so I would say yes, that is a solution to this graph. All right, so I already wrote this part as well. We're now going to talk about the zeros and x-intercepts. We already talked about this in chapter 8, so this is just a basic review. X-intercepts is a quadratic function, or the coordinate points where the graph hits the x-axis. The zeros are basically the same thing of a quadratic function with x values that return a y value 0. In other words, when the y equals 0, the x value are the x values of the quadratic function. So I'm highlighting for a certain point. We already talked about what the vertex is. Here's your vertex at this point there. So my vertex is -2 and -4. Minimum or maximum. This graph has a minimum. The axis symmetry x equals -2. My y-intercept is y equals 0. So it's at this point right there. That's my y-intercept. That's across the x-axis. Or the y-axis, I'm sorry. My x-intercepts, they're going to be two answers. X equals curly brace -4 and 0. So it hits at this point and this point here of the x value. And my 0 is going to be x equals -4 and 0 as well. Basically the same thing. Direction of the opening is up. My domain is -infinity to +infinity. And my range is going to be y is greater than or equal to -4. And again, I meant to write this interval notation as well. But it would be bracket -4 to infinity. All right, this next part is we're going to use technology. I'm going to have to cut part of my screen so that way I can put Desmos on the right side of my screen. So follow along your notes. We're going to plug in the equation y equals -x² plus 2x plus 3, and then complete the table that we have here. The vertex, the minimum, maximum, axis, all that kind of stuff. We'll figure that out once we plug that equation onto Desmos. So I'll type in y equals negative x squared plus 2x plus 3. All right, so when I plug that equation onto Desmos, I see a graph that is given or shown to us on the right side on that screen. So I'm going to figure out what the vertex is. The vertex is 1 and 4. So I'm writing 1 and 4 as my vertex. There's a maximum, so it'll be a max. I'm going to circle this one just for my handwriting's sake. I'm going to circle that there's a maximum. My axis symmetry is going to be x value of my vertex. My y-intercept is going to be where across the y-axis. So I'm going to click on where across the y-axis. Right, it's kind of left of the vertex. So at 0 and 3, when x value is 0 and y value is 3, that is the y-intercept. So my y-intercept would be y equals 3. My x-intercept is going to be, let me go get rid of these points, it's going to be where across the x-axis. It crosses at those 2 points there. Direction opening is down. Then the domain is going to be ARN for all real numbers for short. And the range is going to be Y is greater than, or I'm sorry, less than or equal to, I was going to say. Less than or equal to, and my vertex was 4, the Y value 4, so Y is greater than, less than or equal to 4.